What's up guys, today's video is on the Canon EOS 5DS review 2023. The Canon EOS 5DS is outwardly very similar to its 3-year-old predecessor, the EOS 5D Mk3, measuring exactly the same and weighing the same too. So if you've used that camera before, you'll be immediately at home with the new 5DS. Indeed, you'd be hard-pressed to tell the two cameras apart when they're placed side by side. If it ain't broke, don't fix it seems to be the order of the day. The Canon EOS 5DS has a magnesium alloy body, which should make it more durable in the longer term, and it also adds a welcome level of weatherproofing for protection against dust and moisture. There's a textured area on both the deep hand grip and around the thumb rest on the rear of the camera. And size-wise, the 5DS is perfect for everyone with normal to large-sized hands. On the front of the Canon EOS 5DS is an infrared port on the grip, depth of field preview button, self-timer lamp, and a monaural microphone. Like other semi-pro cameras, the Canon EOS 5DS offers two control wheels, a small one on the top of the hand grip, and a large, spinning dial on the back of the camera. This rear quick control dial is characteristic of all high-end Canon EOS cameras, used to apply rapid exposure adjustments. It's a bit of an acquired taste compared to more conventional control dials, but you quickly get used to it and it is easy to spin. There's a dedicated lock switch which toggles this dial on and off. The quick control dial does take up the space where you'd normally expect to find a 4-way controller, which means that for menu navigation Canon has had to incorporate an additional small joystick on the back of the camera. This joystick works well enough, but it's not as positive or as easy to use as a conventional 4-way controller. Underneath is the Q button which opens the quick control screen, depending on which shooting mode you're using. This lets you set various parameters via the LCD screen, using the joystick to move around the various options. The quick control screen is particularly well suited to beginners and tripod work. On the top right of the Canon EOS 5DS, positioned above the large monochrome status LCD display, are 3 buttons, each of which has 2 functions. You press a button and then turn either the top dial or the rear dial to change the corresponding setting. It does take a little while to memorize which button does what, and which dial you need to turn. The Canon EOS 5DS also shows the settings on the main LCD screen as well as the status LCD. There's a smaller 4th button which activates the status LCD display light so that you can use it in the dark. There are 2 LCD displays on the Canon EOS 5DS, the 3.2 inches color LCD on the rear and the smaller status panel on the top. On cheaper DSLR cameras, the LCD on the rear usually has to do both jobs, but on this model all of the camera's main settings are visible from above on the smaller panel. This makes the Canon EOS 5DS quicker to use and also helps to extend the battery life. The main LCD screen offers a Fantastic Vga Resolution with 140 Kelvin dots, so you may find yourself using it more often than you thought. Importantly, it also allows you to judge the critical sharpness of your photos using the LCD screen. The Viewfinder offers 100% coverage, with a magnification of 0.71x and diopter correction. And a transparent LCD screen overlays vital focus shooting information plus a dual-axis electronic level. File quality. The Canon EOS 5DS has 2 different JPEG file quality settings available, with fine being the highest quality JPEG option. Here are some 100% crops which show the quality of the various options, with the file size shown in brackets. Here are 2 100% crops which have been saved as web quality 50 in Photoshop. The right-hand image has had some sharpening applied in Photoshop. The out-of-the-camera images at the default setting are a little soft and benefit from some further sharpening in a program like Adobe Photoshop. Alternatively, you can change the in-camera sharpening level if you don't like the default results. Night. The Canon EOS 5DS maximum shutter speed is 30 seconds and there's a bulb mode for even longer exposures, which is excellent news if you're seriously interested in night photography. The shot below was taken using a shutter speed of 30 seconds, aperture of f/11 at ISO 100. Priority. This custom setting promises to improve the highlight detail of the image by expanding the dynamic range from 18% gray to bright highlights. Turning it on didn't make a great deal of difference in our test shot, as shown below. Optimizer. This setting promises to automatically correct the brightness and contrast of an image, with 3 levels of varying intensity available. There was a slight difference between the weakest and strongest settings, as shown below. Note that the user guide warns that this setting might cause noise to increase at higher ISO speeds. Exposure. This setting allows you to combine up to 9 images into a single composite image, with a range of different ways to blend them together. Here's an example with 2 images combined. HDR. The HDR mode combines 3 images taken at different exposures to create a single image with greater dynamic range, with natural and more artistic looks also on offer. Picture styles. Canon's picture controls, similarly to Nikon's picture styles, are preset combinations of different sharpness, contrast, saturation, and color tone settings. The 6 available picture controls are shown below in the following series, which demonstrates the differences. There are also 3 user-defined styles so that you can create your own look. Images. This is a selection of sample images from the Canon EOS 5DS camera, which were all taken using the 50.6 megapixel fine JPEG setting. The thumbnails below link to the full-sized versions, which have not been altered in any way. Video. This is a sample movie at the highest quality setting of 1920 by 1080 at 25 frames per second. Please note that this 18-second movie is 196 megabits in size. Conclusion. The Canon EOS 5DS combines the proven design of the popular 5D Mark III with jaw-dropping image quality from the new 50.6 megapixel sensor. Slow continuous shooting speeds and a limited ISO range by modern standards means that the 5DS certainly isn't suited to every photographic situation, with the venerable 5D Mark III and the EOS 7D Mk2 being better all-rounders. While the huge file sizes and sheer level of detail demand that you use the best post-processing setup and the latest L-series lenses to do justice to the camera, the sheer level of detail that can obtain from the 5DS and a high-quality lens like the EF 70 to 200mm f divided by 2.8 liters is too awesome is difficult to ignore once you've experienced it, though. So if you can commit both financially and in terms of time to the Canon EOS 5DS, we'd wholeheartedly recommend it. The design of the Canon EOS 5DS is so similar to the 5D Mk3 that it's difficult to tell the two cameras apart. A good thing in our book is the latter camera's control layout was already well refined. The Canon EOS 5DS has inherited some extra design features from the EOS 7D Mk2 which make it the best designed 5 series camera to date. We would have liked to have seen a flip-out LCD screen incorporated, though, especially with the Canon EOS 5DS increased focus on life as a studio or landscape camera, and the lack of Wi-Fi connectivity is surprising too. While the 50.6 megapixel sensor is capable of delivering the highest image quality from any Canon EOS camera to date in terms of out-and-out resolution, it does limit its versatility, with the 5 FPS burst shooting rate not proving fast enough for sports, action, wildlife photography, and the expanded ISO range of 50-12,800 limiting what the camera can do in more testing low-light situation. And as we've discovered after shooting thousands of images with the 5DS and a variety of older and newer lenses, only the latest and greatest lenses together with careful technique are good enough to get the absolute best out of that 50 megapixel sensor. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button. And if you have something to say, please leave a comment.